Welcome everyone to today's Edison Electric Institute webinar on digital transformation for a smarter energy grid. My name is Vanessa Ferrero and I'm a manager for international programs at EEI. Today's webinar features Beatriz Crisostomo, who will share how Iberdrola is enhancing its operations around the world. Before we get started, I want to go over some housekeeping items and remind everyone of EEI's compliance with antitrust laws. As you all know, EEI and its members are committed to full compliance with all laws and regulations and to maintaining the highest ethical standards in the way we do business. This commitment includes strict compliance with federal and state antitrust laws. Throughout this session, we encourage you to join in the conversation by submitting questions using the chat feature. The webinar presentation and recording will be made available to all attendees after today's session. Now, I will turn this over to Lawrence Jones, Vice President for International Programs at Edison Electric Institute, who will moderate today's session.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Edison Electric Institute's webinar. We are very delighted this morning to be having a conversation with our good friend Beatriz Crisostomo. I hope I got it right, Beatriz. And she's going to be talking about a topic that we think is extremely important for our industry at this point. Innovation, as we know, is a bedrock of our industry. Unfortunately, as an industry, we sometimes do not do a very good job in telling our innovation story. And so over the next couple of months, Edison Electric Institute will be engaging with our international members as well as our US members to begin to more effectively tell our innovation story. And we thought there's no better way to begin than by having a conversation with one of perhaps the most innovative electric companies in the world, Iberdrola, in terms of how they have dealt with a huge number of issues and how their multi-approach to innovation in all of the different centers around the world have made a difference. And so, Beatriz, we'll look forward to your presentation, and after that, we'll have a Q&A. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the Edison Electric Institute for this great opportunity, and especially to Vanessa and Lawrence for having these great conversations with them for preparing this webinar. Just a second, because I'm going to share my presentation with you. Well, are you all watching the presentation, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you all know Iberdrola. Just a quick facts about the company. We are an international energy company, mainly based in 5 countries, which are the US, Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and the UK. We also have some international activities around Europe, and lately we started also operating in Australia through our renewables company. We are really committed to a green energy transition. That's why we are the first wind energy producer in the world. And as Lawrence was saying before, we are really committed to innovation and digitalization. Just a quick overview of how we see the electricity sector in the future. We are responsible for, let's say, 25% of emissions. But we know that we have the technologies ready for this decarbonization. What we need to do to fulfill these requirements for decarbonization is to continue our track on digitalization, because we think that for the electrification of the economy and the decarbonization, what we need to do are mainly 3 things. Investments on renewable energy, that's something that it's very simple to understand. And to make this possible, what we need is to try to store and back up as much energy as possible. And the other one is to make our networks, the grid, to make it smarter and more digital, because this is going to be the backbone for the digitalization of all the electric system. And this way, we will make it more efficient in the future. So taking these ideas into account, what we are doing here in Iberdrola is we are putting our digital strategy as one of the key issues of our strategic pillars. We are putting together digitalization and innovation because we think this is something that has been done for a few years, but we have to focus in the future. Just for you to know, in an operational way of working, we don't have a specific department for innovation or digitalization. We don't have a technological center as some other companies have. We have what we call an open and decentralized model. And through the presentation, you will see examples of how we collaborate as an open model. We collaborate with technology suppliers, with startups, with universities, and sometimes even with our competitors. And when we say that our model is also decentralized, is because, as I was saying, we don't have a specific department for digitalization. Digitalization is spread all across our company, all business units. When we talk about traditional generation or renewables or grids, they all have their digital teams spread in their departments, because we think that it has to be part of our DNA in the company. So as I was saying, digitalization is in the center because it's going to play a fundamental role in the energy transformation to have our economy completely electrified in the future. Okay, well, it was a few years ago that I'm sure that some of you are familiar with this way of representing our value chain. The World Economic Forum was working on the digital transformation of several industries. And in this case, they were focused on the electricity sector. So there are 4 ways of creating value for our companies. The first one is like the oldest one, let's say. It's how we digitalize our assets. So we make them to operate longer. And in this sense and in this category, I'm including all the technologies that we are using for remote control, predictive maintenance, in order to extend the life of our generation, transmission and distribution assets. In general, all that has to do with our infrastructures. The second one I was mentioning before are the grids, which are the backbone for all this digitalization process. And the next 2 categories are something that in Iberdrola's case are really challenging during the last years. It's all the relationship that we have with our customers, with our clients, and all the services that we are offering them. If you remember when we talk about retail some years ago, the customers were working with their retailers that were also their distributors, so they were not choosing who was working with. So in this case, now we have to fight for the customers. So we have to offer them new products and services, and that's where we have a really big team of people thinking about smart products for the future. Okay, well, what are the tools that we have for doing this? I'm sure if you look at the slide on the left part of the slide, we have all the technologies that we are listening everywhere: artificial intelligence, drones, blockchain, and everything. Well, we receive a lot of proposals to do pilots or proof of concepts, or even big development projects on big technologies. And the first thing we do, and we are trying everybody to make sure, is that what is the problem that we have in the company, or the challenge that we have in the company, and then let's think about what technology, if we finally need one of these digital technologies, what technology is the best one for each case. Because if not, Well, for example, I think it was like, let's say 2 years ago, blockchain was everywhere, was like in fashion, everybody was talking about blockchain, and we wanted to include blockchain everywhere. So in our opinion, that's not the approach we have to take. So this is a group of tools, and we will choose the one that we need in each case. And apart from the technologies, of course, we need resources. If we don't have extra budget for all these things, then we really have a problem. So that's why we have allocated for the future more than $5 billion for this digital transformation. And mainly, as I was saying, we are focused on the assets, but also on the customers. These disruptive technologies are really, really helpful for making our company more efficient, but also more sustainable in terms of environment, and also in terms of our social responsibility. Okay, so I have organized the presentation through the value chain, and we are going to see several examples that, in my opinion, we have been successful over the years. So it was a long time ago, it was in 2003, that we started with what now it's called Internet of Things, that in 2003 the name was completely different, where we started building our first renewable energies operation center, what we call CORE. We have 4 cores so far, one in Spain, the other one in the US, another one in the UK, and the last one that was built 2 years ago in Brazil. And with this platform, we are overseeing 12,000 wind turbines, which means 18 gigawatts of our generation. I mean, it's 100% of our renewable facilities are controlled through these operation centers. And it means that we are receiving more than 5 million signals. This has been a really successful way of operation, and we are including more and more facilities in these operation centers. Okay. And also related to our renewables facilities, we started a few years ago using drones for inspection of different infrastructures, especially the wind blades, and also some power lines, because we have thousands of kilometers of power lines everywhere, especially in the States, in several places, which is not really easy to access. So in this case, drones are very, very useful to see how our assets are. We are also using this for our hydropower plants. And as an example, in 2008, we were inspecting 600 wind blades in Spain and Mexico, and seeing what problems they were having. And as a result of using this technology, we were saving more than 4 million euros thanks to this technology. Okay. Also, another example on renewable related to machine learning. We have all our assets covered by predictive maintenance since last year. And in this case, we are generating digital twins using machine learning. So we are comparing in real time the behavior of each wind turbine in comparison with the expected theoretical model. This way we are predicting when there's a fault, we are maximizing the production. And in this case, if we want to convert this technology into savings, what we are doing is saving around 2% of the money that we were spending on operation and maintenance, which in our opinion, it's finally what we want to do with these digital technologies. Okay. Virtual reality and augmented reality are really, really helpful in several places where the operational conditions and work safety is not always easy. And in this case, we have here in Spain, in Madrid, we have a Iberdrola campus, which is, let's say, like a corporate university. And we have, for training for our employees, we have a system with that it's mixing reality with virtual reality. So we have our employees trained on how are our substations internally. So before they go to a real substation, using HIS, they know everything that is inside. So we have hundreds of employees having their training virtually, which it's saving a lot of money in, for example, in traveling, and also it's very good for the safety. Okay. Well, if we continue to the backbone of the electricity systems, we have the smart grids, which are allowing all parts of the electric system as efficient as possible, and they are minimizing the cost and environmental impacts while maximizing system reliability and resilience. In this case, we started in Spain in 2010 because it was there was a regulation in our government that we had to start digitalization, our smart meters, substations, and all the system. So up to 2020, we have already installed 13 million smart meters, and also we have digitalized 90,000 substations. What are, after several years of this project, what are the main benefits of this digitalization? Well, we are progressing through the integration of renewable energy. We are making our grids more reliable, safe, and also we are saving cost on networks operation, and something very important, especially in specific countries, we are decreasing the fraud, what we call non-technical losses. We are cutting them a lot. Apart from that, we are creating a new business opportunity, especially in Spain, where we were working closely with several providers to deploy all these smart meters. We were creating an open protocol. So this is a huge innovation project about smart grids. And as a result of these smart grids that we have mainly in Spain, we have terabytes of information, and really good information, but to make this valuable, we have to analyze and to see what we want to do with this data. So we are using advanced analytics to make decisions, and in order to predict the demand. So in this case, as I was mentioning before, it's also very useful for the fraud reduction. We are saving every year 17 million euros. We are making our connections stronger, and the efficiency on our field activities, as everything is remotely controlled and operating, we are making our teams more efficient. And also regarding the digitalization of the grid, when we apply artificial intelligence, we have a system that is called the ARA. It's an automatic replenishment system that it's increasing the reliability of our networks a lot. And in this case, the regulator is really happy that the service we are offering to our customers is really, really good. Okay, so we have the first two options. It's something that Iberdrola has been doing for more than 20 years, but in everything related to our customers, I would say that in the last 4 years, we have been doing a lot in terms of the services that we are offering, and also in terms of the new products and services that we are offering there. Well, blockchain is, let's say, in the middle of everything. We have seen really mature projects so far, things that have been in the company that we have been spending a lot of money. But in the case of blockchain, I want to add this as an example. We are not making any big deployment yet because we don't think the technology is ready, or at least is ready for us. So what we are doing is focusing on small pilots in different parts of the business units. For example, we made a transaction and we were selling energy to one of our customers, guaranteeing that through blockchain that the energy was coming from our renewable power plants, which means that we were offering green certificates to our customers. One of the other pilots that we were having with blockchain is with our compliance unit and everything related to the relationship with our providers. So we were evaluating everything for the third party, and through blockchain, what we see is that we are speeding up the process a lot, because we were not exchanging so much information from one place to the other. So these two pilots were very, very good. We were happy with the results, and hopefully in the future we would make these pilots something bigger. Okay, so one of our challenges for the future is making all our products accessible from any device, anywhere. That's where our retail team is working on platforms that are in the cloud, not only for the sales force, of course, but also to make everything available from everywhere. I will skip this one because we will talk about it later. And we were analyzing the big amount of data that we have through these smart grids from our customers. So what we are doing is offering tailored tariffs and tailored products to increase our customer satisfaction and loyalty. We have asked many times about what do our customers need, and they say that they want to make sure that they can choose the energy that they want, and they want to be as efficient as possible. So they were asking this, and this is what we are doing now. We are offering a group of products that we call smart. For example, it's smart solar, smart heating, and also what we call smart mobility. We haven't talked about the last part of the value chain when we were talking about electrification. We are also focused on the mobility market, especially installing the charging infrastructure. And through this solution, it's what we call smart mobility. We are also working with the different municipalities and governments to make this electric mobility happen. We have a lot of programs for our employees. For example, I own an electric car, and we are trying to foster electric mobility as much as possible with the different products that we have. And apart from that, everything that is related to the customer service, we are digitalizing all the channels up to 50% so far, but in the future we want to have it at least up to 75%. Okay. Yeah, we are centralizing all the relationship with most of the relationship through the apps, because we know that this is what they want. Here you can see an example of a charger for our electric cars. I mean, we are not selling electric cars, but we are having agreements with cars providers to make everything easier for everybody. Okay. Well, and this is the last part of the presentation, which in my opinion is something that it's very important, and it has to be cross-cutting with the rest of the things that we were saying. It's everything that is related to the culture inside the company, how we help our employees to be more digital, because if not, they can have the technology, as we were seeing before, but to make this digital transformation, it's very important to also work on the culture, the skills, and the capabilities of the employees. So I was mentioning during the presentation, for example, renewables, team, retail, generation, and now I'm going to talk about an initiative that it's being done with our lawyers, the legal team in the company, which we were really, really surprised. The name of the project is Darwin, and they call it the evolution of Iberdrola legal services to contribute to the group's digitalization challenges. Which we were like, oh my God, the lawyers have decided to digitalize everything. And I have to say that after 2 years, they have been focused, of course, in efficiencies that we have been discussing, but they are also doing a lot on the digitalization of their processes. The automation of the billing, all that has to do with contracts, and something that in our case was like a lot of administrative tasks. They are making everything digital, which is very useful for everybody. And hopefully in a few months, we will have, as we were having before with the former examples, saying that we are saving, I don't know, 15% of our time or something like that. But hopefully they will have some results. Okay. Another example that it's from the procurement department. They have a digitalization plan. They have started with a platform, a new one that we are using everywhere in all the countries that Iberdrola is operating, and it's based on SAP, and it's making the procurement process, which was quite complicated, it's making it agile, very safe. And we are avoiding something that now with the COVID-19, it's over, but it was not over before. It's sending documents from one place to the other. So we have everything centralized in the same tool, and it's making things more efficient for everybody. And here we have several samples that our administration team is also working on. It's really good to see them, how they are hiring new people with new capabilities about robotization to make their process easier. And they also want to, of course, to innovate, but also to make this digitalization happen. And something that it's very important when we talk about these teams, it's the people that are working there. They are also learning new work methodologies, for example, such, agile. They are not developing like let's say a real product with a prototype or something like that, but what they are doing is applying these agile technologies in the entire organization. So this culture of innovation and digitalization is inside everybody. Okay. Every year we have an event that it's very popular worldwide, that it's called the Digital Summit. It's our big digital event. And in this case, we are sharing one day the trends and the key trends and technologies that are driving the digital economy. And the second day, we are sharing between all the employees our examples of what we are doing related to these technologies. We have several communities of practice where we are sharing what we do. We can learn from one place to the other, I mean, from one country to the other, from one department to the other, which in our opinion, this is something very, very useful. Usually this event was here in Madrid. People from the different countries were connected online, but this year everything is going to be online. So we will be digital in our digital event. Okay, I was also mentioning before, all those things are very, very important, but if we don't have these digital skills and capabilities inside the company, this is impossible to continue with the rest of the projects. So our human resources and training departments are doing great on defining new ways of learning, new resources. And I want to share with you this program, which was launched, I think it was like 10 days ago. It's the digital mentoring program, where we are going to define a mentor and a mentee. So they have to collaborate to learn about what we have here, new technologies, cultural transformation, information management, or these agile methodologies. So we are making sure that we are sharing. It's a project where we want to break the barriers between the different employees, also the ages, the location of the employees. So hopefully it's going to be very, very good in the future. You can also be a mentor in one technology and a mentee in a different technology, which we think it's going to be good for everybody. Okay, we are not doing this internally. We are not doing everything on our own. As I was mentioning before, we develop an open model where collaboration is key for us. Here I have several partnerships that are really strong for us and that we are really proud of. Well, it was 3 years ago that we created what we call Iberdrola U. It's the Iberdrola's Universities program, a new model of collaboration with the academic world, where the idea is, first of all, to transfer the knowledge between universities and Iberdrola, also to attract talent to our company. Where we go to these universities, what we want is to be the best company for the students to work for, and also to make our social contributions to the projects, the chairs, the professorships that we have in the universities. In this case, we have 5 lines of collaboration with the universities. The first one are the professorships. The second one are the R&D and innovation projects. The third one is where we are focused on the students that want to be entrepreneurs, that they have a lot of ideas, they are really creative. And from our side, from Iberdrola's view, we want to present them some challenges, and they are working with us to solve these challenges. Also, of course, related to universities, we have a lot of training in the energy sector, and the scholarships, the interns with the students. In this program, we have 8 universities so far that, as you can see in the map, they are in the same places that we have our headquarters worldwide. Okay. As an example of collaboration in digital technologies, we have 3 projects that we are doing with MIT, with the Energy Initiative at MIT. One of them is related to wind turbines. Using machine learning, we are trying to make a prediction of what's going to happen with the health of these wind turbines. The second one is it's done with our innovation center in Qatar and MIT. It's about designing the city of the future in terms of efficiency. And the third project, it's done, but our Avangrid colleagues, maybe some of the Avangrid colleagues that are connected are familiar with this project. It's talking about what I was mentioning before, the deployment of the EV, the electric vehicles infrastructure. Also, we want to include some of the digital technologies such as for the electrification of the economy, such as heat pumps. So the idea is to see what happens in the grid if we are including these chargers, heat pumps, and all electric appliances. Okay. Talking about partnerships is also talking about startups. It was 10 years ago that we created Perseo, what we call our international startup program. We have a budget of 70 million euros. We have invested we have invested in 20 startups so far, but now we only have we have in our portfolio 8. And the idea of this program is, first of all, to identify the key technology trends that are very useful for us. And what we do is to partner with these startups. Sometimes we are not acquiring these startups, but we are making pilots or proof of concepts with them. As you can see here, we have more pilot programs than startups acquires, because it's not our main objective. And if I have to tell you what areas are we focused on, we will include what we call smart solutions for retail, distributed energy resource management, and everything that is helping on operation and maintenance. Some of the examples of the companies we have in our portfolio, the first one is Arborea. You saw the pictures before when we were talking about the drones for the inspections of wind turbines. And we were seeing that we were saving a lot of money on operation and maintenance. And I will also like to talk about one of our companies that it's called Wallbox, that it's based here in Spain. And Wallbox was created 3 years ago, and it's working on the deployment of different solutions for electric mobility. We think they have big opportunities for the future, so we are partnering with this company for the products for our smart mobility portfolio. As I was saying, through our Perseo program, we also propose challenges to the startups, which are competitions where we are asking them to present technologies or product that can help Iberdrola in any specific challenge that we are proposing. For example, the first one is one that it's open. So if you have any idea or you know any company that can provide solutions for this, you only have to go to our website and there's a place to submit your idea. In this case, we want to optimize the construction of electrical transmission facilities to improve the efficiency and productivity of the different processes. So we open this is open worldwide, so anyone can submit the proposal. And the thing is that we internally study the proposal, and then we will see if it's good to start a pilot or what way of collaboration it's the best for both companies. And another example is wind turbine monitoring, that this was a challenge that was published a few months ago to improve the monitoring systems on our wind farms. Okay. Well, and this is something that I was mentioning before, that R&D is across all the business units in Iberdrola, but we have some help from our Innovation Middle East Technology Center, which is located in Qatar. And they are defining what we call the digital utility. They are developing innovative solutions in smart grids, distributed renewable energy integration, and energy efficiency. So we have here a group of 15 technicians working on this on these solutions. They are offering these energy services not also for Iberdrola, but also for external customers. Okay, and that's all I have from my side. I think I have covered mostly everything.
You did cover everything, and thank you so much for what was a very rich presentation. We have about 15 minutes here, so we should be able to get in a couple of questions. I'd like to start, Beatrice. The decentralized approach is very, very interesting. And can you talk about, I think I've lost Beatrice, or maybe she's not on camera. Hopefully she's coming back. There you are.
I'm here. I was drinking some water.
It's okay. We can see you drink. No problem. But Beatrice, quickly, just talk about the decentralized approach. How do you, in a decentralized innovation structure like that you have at Iberdrola, which is very, very good, how do you manage your innovation funnel to determine what projects is invested in? How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, we have innovation committees, okay, which are where we decide what ideas do we have. We have to choose the ones that that feel in the strategy that we have, and then what we do is we allocate the resources that they need for the projects. But of course, there has to be like a committee or a group of people that it's deciding if it's okay for the business and for the company to do this or not.
Okay, okay. What I actually liked about the presentation when I looked at it last night and then here you present here is Iberdrola's approach is innovation across the value chain, which I really think it's very important for our industry. So in that light, can you talk briefly about the issue around the value of the innovation? I know you showed different places where you have saved money. In some cases, you've maybe been more productive, efficiency. So when you look along the value chain, what other metrics does Iberdrola use to determine the success of an innovation project?
Oof. Lawrence, that's a very tricky question. That's very tricky because, okay, yeah, that's a discussion we always have even with our competitors or with our colleagues from different sectors. We know very well how many resources we are allocating, how many people, how much money, the budget that we have for each year. But the thing is that how much value are we obtaining from that? So yes, in our case, as I think it's a good example when we talk about the products that we are offering to our customers. For example, it was in 2010 when we were analyzing the possibility for electric mobility here in Spain, and we were analyzing in an internal group. It was an R&D project to see how chargers were and all these things. We were making small pilots here, and finally, now we see that the product is in the market, that we are selling this product, and we are making money of this new line of business. So in this case, when we are close to new products and services, it's quite simple. It's how much money we are making of this new product and service. When we talk about, let's say, incremental innovation, because you are improving the way you are doing the things, most of the time we are doing that because we are decreasing the cost. I was mentioning all the time the cost of operation and maintenance. We try to decrease it, and this is the way we measure. Or for example, if we need less time to do something, or for example, imagine that you have to repair an infrastructure and if you are doing an R&D project to make a robot that can go inside one of the heaters without stopping the power plant, then we have one of these projects, right? Then we are calculating how many hours we don't have to stop the power plant. This is really easy to see. But we have to analyze this case by case, because the projects are very different. And now I'm talking about the projects that has been successful. But yes, some of the projects, they don't have a direct impact. For some of them are for learning, because we have to learn about these new technologies that we were saying. That's why we don't approach a huge innovation project. We do it little by little. We start with the pilot, and once we see that the pilot is working, we make it bigger.
So very interesting question. I was about to ask a question about fostering culture of innovation, and we got a question in from Angela, who asked, what were some of the steps taken to transition the corporate culture to embrace innovation and agile culture in general? Because we know from many other industries, especially in our industry, transformation of a culture is very, very difficult. How was Iberdrola successful in transforming the internal culture to embrace agile innovation?
Well, I think we are in the process. I mean, we are not done with that. We are still in the process, but I think it's very important if you have a specific department that it's very, very innovative, because you have the manager of that department, he wants to do or she wants to do things in a different way. And then you are successful with the way you are organizing your department. If you share this success story with the rest of the company, it's something that everybody's going to say, they are doing this. So this is good for everybody. In this case, internal communication is doing a lot, sharing these experiences with the rest of the employees. I was mentioning the Digital Summit. In the Digital Summit, we talk about technologies, but we also talk about culture. So I remember a few years ago, the energy management team was sharing their experience with Agile, which everybody was, what's Agile? What are they talking about? Why are they putting those papers, those post-it in the walls? They were making things in a different way. And suddenly everybody was thinking, maybe we have to look about that. So in this case, if you share your success with the rest of the company, I mean, it's like the first step. And then, of course, if you need to ask for more resources, not only talking about budget, but people, different capabilities of people, this is like the second way of doing this.
So one of the things that I found very interesting, well, many interesting things in your presentation, but one that I thought about was the role of management in supporting innovation. And, you know, your chairman, Mr. Galan, is known across the world for being on the leading edge of his ideas. How do you incentivize your employees to embrace innovation? What is in it for the employees? How do they get motivated to be part of this innovation journey, if you may? What kind of incentives do you offer them?
Well, when we created the innovation department, it was 13 years ago. We were analyzing what incentives the rest of the companies were giving to the employees, and we were thinking of what to do in our company. So in our case, we are trying from the innovation department, we try to make innovation happen, helping these employees with, let's say, what they need. For example, we know people that are really creative and they have a lot of ideas, but for example, they don't have time. So what we do is like, what do you need? I need someone to help me on researching on this new material. And we tell them, okay, we know this university that it's very good on this. Do you want to partner with this university? And in this case, it's like, yes. We help them with the resources, which are really sometimes not easy to obtain. not always. So we help with this, and then we make public recognitions of the things that they are doing. For example, we have organized events where the employees that are very innovative, they are receiving a diploma or with the top management. So the recognition is in this sense, because, for example, we ask them what's the price, let's say the price for them, and we try to help. The thing is that once an employee is making an innovation project, they always repeat, because they finish one, but they have an idea to make a new one.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that we know, our industry, as a global power industry, we do a lot of innovation, but we don't tell a good story. And I started out the webinar by talking about that shortcoming of our industry. But then the other topic is commercialization. So if I look at the portfolio of Iberdrola, you all are doing a lot of cool things, a lot of things that are adding value to your company, adding value to shareholder. But what about commercialization? Is that an area where Iberdrola is focused on taking some of these good ideas and commercializing them into products that can be sold elsewhere, even beyond our industry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was I was saying that during the last year we are really focused on attracting new customers, of course in things that are related to the energy sector, but we try to focus on new products that are not pure electricity or pure gas, but more services. As I was saying, everything related to electric mobility, which is something very new, energy efficient. And energy products in general for the for the residential customers, but also commercial and industrial. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There is one question that has come in as it relates to your digital mentoring program, which I thought was a very good program, actually. And this question is, with whom should we get in touch with if we would like to be a mentee? Now, I'm guessing the questioner is perhaps working at Iberdrola, or maybe one of your companies around the world. And so they would like to know who should they contact if they would like to become a mentee.
Well, it's Christina. I will send Christina an email later with the name of the contact, because there are several people in each country organizing this mentoring program. So I will put her in contact with the HR person.
Okay, good. Good.
I think that's something that it's going to be very good, and I'm also part of this program, and I think we are going to enjoy the experience.
Okay, let's take another question here. So as you look at Iberdrola investment in digitalization, and if you look at the fact that many other companies may not have the same sort of a financial situation as Iberdrola to make huge investments, if they're going to start the digital journey, what are the 3 areas you think they should focus on based on your experience?
Well, apart from the areas, I will focus on the methodology. As I was saying before, I would start with small pilots or proof of concepts in partnership with technology providers, for example, because they will be very happy to start this collaboration with an utility without spending a lot of resources. So first, the methodology is through a pilot. And then for the definition of the areas, well, I was saying before that we don't have to be crazy about the technologies. We have to focus on the, let's say, problem or opportunity. You have to analyze internally where you have your main problems. For example, if it has to do with your assets, you focus on the problem and you try to understand what's the solution that you need. Or if we talk, for example, about the retail part of the business, you have to think about opportunities, because there are no problems in that part. You have opportunities. You have to think about what's not in the market yet. Maybe it's in the market worldwide, but not in your region, for example. If we talk about electric mobility, the products, for example, they can be here in Spain, that we have a lot of products for electric vehicle, but maybe they are not in the States yet. So you need to find your market, your small market, and to see, because in my opinion, it's a big mistake to make a digital transformation of the company as a whole. You have to do it little by little, and also working, as we were saying, it was cross-cutting with the culture, but little by little analyzing where you need to put the effort.
So I looked at the innovation products, the portfolio you have there along the value chain. One thing that came to my mind was perhaps two topics that are important for our industry right now. One is climate change, and the other one is resilience. So can you talk about, from an innovation perspective, how is Iberdrola investing in projects as it relates to those two topics, climate change and resilience?
Well, as you can imagine, we have the commitment of being carbon neutral for 2050. So if we want to do that, we have to start. I mean, we already started a few years ago. So we are closing all our coal power plants. We are all the facilities that we are building are renewable. We are focused on renewable. We have been doing for years onshore wind. We are now also focused on offshore wind, analyzing opportunities worldwide, also PV. So we think this is the path that we have to take for the future. Something very important, it's the grid, that it's making this renewable integration happen. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we are doing a lot for the deployment of the grid. We are operating in 5 countries. The grid is very different from one place to the other. So we still have a lot of things to do in that sense. But I would say that everything that we are doing is focused on sustainability from the environmental point of view. So climate change and environmental responsibility is part of our strategy. So everything that we are doing is green.
So it's 1 minute to 11, but we'll run over maybe just 5 minutes if you don't mind, Beatrice.
Oh, it's okay.
Just take some time. So can you talk a little bit then about, in your partnership strategy, you talk about the university partnership, but what about partnership with other utilities and other electric companies? Is that something Iberdrola is focused on? And if you are, how
Yes.
does that process work in terms of creating partnerships with other electric companies around the world?
Yeah, well, of course we partner with our competitors and with other utilities. As an example, a few years ago, where we were defining the protocol for communication in smart grids, we created in Europe the Prime Alliance, okay, which is a group of utilities working together to define how the communications protocol was going to be. So we were part of that. We also have several European projects that are being funded by the European Union, where we are collaborating with the rest of the distributor system operators and also with transport system operators to make the grids stronger, or, for example, for what we call smart cities. This is a concept that we are also fostering for the future. So in this sense, when we are thinking about building the city of the future, the green city of the future, we are, of course, collaborating with the DSOs. Mm-hmm. At least in Europe, we have several examples.
Good. So there's 2 more questions here. I know we're dropping off here. Just one of your projects that was fascinating was the one about the legal department. The legal department, there are a couple of lawyers on the call. How difficult was that project to get off the ground? Because obviously, oftentimes you don't see the legal department getting involved in innovation. How did you guys get them to agree to do this sort of a project? Or was it something they came up with on their own?
Yeah, I have to tell you the truth. It was not our idea. It was their idea. They decided that they needed this change because they didn't want to go business as usual. They knew that going business as usual was very comfortable with everybody, because they didn't need to change everything, but they were saying that they need to do new things. So in fact, we are helping them as we help the rest of the teams in Iberdrola, but they are doing everything on their own. So they have the team and they have the ideas. They have a pipeline of ideas for making this digitalization and transformation happen. So this is going to be, let's say, a medium-term project.
Mm-hmm. Well, my last question for you, Beatriz, is one that is a little bit more personal about your journey into this digital world. As head of the innovation management at Iberdrola, what would you say has been your biggest success, and what has been something that you could have done differently? I wouldn't call it a failure, but what would you say have been your biggest success, and something that you said, that wasn't too good, I could have done it differently? What would be those two answers?
Well, I think we are trying to make this innovation culture as global as possible. So we started here, when I started working for Iberdrola 13 years ago, Iberdrola was also based in Spain, and we started growing little by little. So we tried to make this model as global as possible. And I think this has been something really, I mean, I have really enjoyed the experience. It has been really challenging because of the differences between people, cultures, because we are talking about Mexico, the UK, US, Brazil, and Spain. We are all very different. But I think we are making this feeling of innovation global. So everybody feels part of the group and they feel that they can innovate. It doesn't matter where they are. So this is something that has been done by the innovation team during these 13 years. And regarding the one about the things that we can do better, well, we have a lot of things to improve. But I think that we have the challenge to make different teams within the company more innovative. Yeah. And we will see, as I was saying, I don't know, for example, our controllers, we have to make them more digital and more innovative, but that's a challenge that we have for the future.
Well, I must commend you for an excellent presentation, number one. Number two, I must commend you for a journey that I think there's a lot that the rest of the world can learn. The rest of the electricity world can learn from Iberdrola. Your approach to decentralized innovation, I think, certainly makes a difference. I also want to commend your chairman, Mr. Galan, because I think he is an industry leader, and it's because of his vision, I'm assuming, that we are seeing what we're seeing coming out of Iberdrola. So I really want to thank you. Yeah, I mean, he's done an excellent job, and I really want to thank you. I know the topics of predictive maintenance and machine learning and artificial intelligence is something that a lot of people have questions on, so we don't have enough time to dig into it. But I will certainly make sure we get those questions to you if people want to follow up. One thing I'd like to ask, though, if possible, and I don't want to put you on the spot for you to say yes or no, but I think it would be very good at some point, and I discussed this with my team, for us to think about as a global community, to pull together an innovation playbook for the world when it comes to electricity. And we could use Iberdrola as a model, because your approach to innovation, the fact that you're in so many different areas and it's decentralized, I think is something that we can really learn something from. So I'd like to definitely follow up with you on that and see if that's something we might want to consider, and maybe put together some sort of a document that many others can use, because this is an approach I think will really help our industry.
Okay. So absolutely yes, I say yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Let me turn it back over to Vanessa for any closing words before we end. Thank you, Beatriz. Vanessa, over to you.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence, and thanks, Beatriz, for this great presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. We hope you found the discussion valuable, and we appreciate your thoughtful questions throughout the session. We will send out the webinar presentation and recording to all attendees, and we look forward to your attendance at our future webinars and virtual events. To continue engaging with EEI International programs and to learn about other upcoming events, please follow us on Twitter or visit our website. I've put them in the chat. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Beatrice.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe. Bye-bye.